Hello and welcome to my channel We Learn. I am Shraddha Banode and I'm going to take you to the world of electrical machines. In today's session, we are going to see a synchronous generator, that is also called as alternator. In previous few sessions, we have seen basic classification of electrical machines, construction of synchronous machine, and today we are going to concentrate on working principle of alternator, that is synchronous generator. So as we know that the main principle on which all these electrical machines work is nothing but electromagnetic induction, commonly called as Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, which says that EMF gets induced in any conductor depending upon the rate of change of flux. Here in the alternators, there are two types of winding present: field winding and armature winding. Field winding is present on the rotor of the alternator and is rotating part of the machine. Armature winding is the stationary part of the machine. It is exactly opposite to the case of DC generator, where in DC generator we have stationary field winding and rotating armature. Armature terminals which gives very high voltage as a output, it is important to have it stationary. Some of its advantages we will see later. So for now it is clear, armature is on stator, field winding is on rotor, and there are no commutator is required because we need output in AC only. What are the main advantages of having stationary armature are, as I just told you, that voltages which are developed on the output of the armature are very high, and hence it is easier to insulate high voltage if we have them stationary. The high voltage which alternator is generating can be taken directly from the stationary armature. We need not have any slip ring or brushes arrangement for it. Rotor is nothing but field winding which is supplied with low DC voltage and which can be easily supplied even to the moving part of the machine. Its construction is simple, and that is why giving DC to high speed rotating machine is easier than having a rotating armature, and that is why we have stationary armature and rotating field winding. Let's try to understand how the EMF gets induced. Up till now we have seen in DC generator there is a conductor, there is a magnetic field, but for DC generator magnetic field is a constant thing and the conductor moves. But here the conductor will be stationary and the magnetic field will be moving. Ultimately aim is to have the relative movement between them. Either conductor is moving or magnetic field is moving. There will be rate of change of flux across the conductor and hence EMF will induce in the conductor. Now why I am saying conductors? Let's try to understand the difference between conductor, turn and winding. This horizontal part of this turn, that is red colored line and green colored line, are nothing but conductors in which the EMF gets induced. These conductors are always connected, so the blue lines are nothing but the connectors where EMF is not getting induced but it is just joining two conductors. Two conductors when joined together make one turn. Many turns when joined together give us winding. So I hope it is clear now the difference between conductor, turns and winding. And depending upon the need, we will use these terms. So let's try to understand how the EMF gets induced. So here this magnetic field will be moving, and because of this magnetic field moving, the conductors will be conducting the flux and hence this EMF will be getting induced. The EMF induced is sinusoidal So now you can see when this magnetic field is completing its one rotation, the EMF which is induced in the conductors is also completing its one cycle. So for one rotation, one cycle of EMF gets induced. We are talking about only two pole machine, because here one is the north pole from where the magnetic lines are coming out, one is the south pole. So here we are taking an example of two pole machine. That is the EMF induced in one winding, but we know that in armature we have three-phase winding. Three-phase windings are distributed amongst the inner periphery of the stator, and three-phase EMF gets induced in this three-phase winding. Because three-phase EMF gets induced, we have three-phase current IR, IY and IB flowing in this armature winding, which is then given to load. So this is how the current flows in the armature conductor, which is displaced from each other by 120 degree. When we say EMF is induced, it has certain frequency, because we know our electrical system works on a certain frequency which is 50 Hertz standard for India. Okay, so every time the pair of poles crosses the conductor, we get one cycle of EMF induced. Example we have just seen in last slide. So we know that when a conductor crosses one pair of poles, or one pair of poles when crosses one conductor, one cycle of EMF gets induced. And number of cycles per revolution, it depends upon number of pair of poles. In previous slide we have seen example of two pole machine. So for one rotation we were having one cycle. But as the number of poles increases, the number of cycles per revolution will also increase proportionately, and hence we say number of cycles per revolution will be given by number of pair of poles. P stands for number of poles, pair of poles, that is why P by 2. Number of revolutions per second, actually number of revolutions per second is nothing but speed, but because speed we generally unit as RPM, we need here in RPS, that is revolutions per second, and that is why we are dividing speed in RPM by 60, so that we can get speed in RPS. Therefore, number of cycles per second will be equals to number of cycles per revolution into number of revolutions per second, which give us P by 2 into N by 60. Ultimately, number of cycles per seconds are nothing but frequency. So the frequency of induced EMF is given by Pn by 120. That is the standard formula for frequency, which is nothing but output of the alternator. Now before going to understand in details about the alternator, let's try to understand very important terms. Electrical and mechanical degree. Now what is electrical and mechanical degree? Up till now we just know that there is a degree which gives you angle, but how electrical angle is different than mechanical angle, that we will understand. Then pole pitch, coil span, short pitch coil, full pitch coil, concentrated winding, distributed winding. These are all the terms we will understand, so that when I will be explaining you, things will be easier to understand. Okay, so let's first of all try to understand electrical and mechanical degree. Now before going through the part which is written here, just concentrate on this figure first. Now I have given you two figures here. In first figure there is a two pole silent pole rotor, and in another figure there are four pole rotor. Now let's try to understand. When we say mechanical degree, up till now whatever angle we understand, we always understand by mechanical angle. For example, if you concentrate on this north pole and south pole of the first machine, you can say that there is an angular difference of 180 degree, right? From North Pole to South Pole, it is mechanical 180 degree. And coincidences for two pole machine, even electrical is 180 degree. So for two pole machine, mechanical is also 180 degree and electrical is also 180 degree. But let's try to understand this four pole machine. Now in four pole machine, if I'll ask you the mechanical angle between North Pole and South Pole, you will say that ma'am, it is 90 degree. Yes, the mechanical angle between the North Pole and adjacent South Pole is 90 degree. When the conductor will travel from North Pole to South Pole, it will have its half waveform completed, and that is why it will be 180 degree electrical. And by the time when the conductor will move from North Pole through South Pole to North Pole, it will have its one complete cycle. So here for one cycle the rotor was completing one rotation, but here for one cycle the rotor is just completing half rotation and you are getting one full cycle. So for the complete rotation of this rotor four pole machine, you will have two cycles of EMF induced. And now we can connect the two. Here theta electrical is same as theta mechanical for two pole machine, but for four pole machine theta electrical is twice the theta mechanical. And similarly, if we take the example of 6 poles, theta electrical will be thrice the theta mechanical. If we take 8 poles, theta electrical will be 4 times theta mechanical, and hence we can go to conclusion that electrical angle is P by 2 times mechanical angle, where P is nothing but the number of poles. So in two pole machine, P is equals to 2, electrical angle is same as mechanical angle. In four pole machine, electrical angle is P by 2, that is 2 times mechanical angle. In six pole machine, it is 3 times mechanical angle. So summarizing these points, keep in your mind that from one North Pole to adjacent South Pole, it is always 180 degree electrical. The phase angle between two adjacent poles are always 180 degree electrical, irrespective of what is the mechanical angle between them. I hope this is clear. We'll just again summarize this with the help of very small exercise here. So here in the first diagram, you can see that two poles, North Pole and South Pole, are 180 degree with each other mechanically and electrically as well. While on this another figure, you will find that this is a four pole machine. So North Pole and adjacent South Pole are having 90 degree mechanical, but the electrical angle between these two poles is 180 degree electrical. So this is 180 degree electrical, 180 degree mechanical. This is 180 degree electrical, 90 degree mechanical. And as we concluded that theta electrical, that is electrical angle, is always equals to P by 2 mechanical angle. I hope things are clear to you. Now in next session we are going to continue with the other terms. Thank you and happy learning.